75% of every ailment in the human body is directly related to digestion and what you eat. If you're stressed out, if you do not have a proper metabolic assimilation of the food, you're going to become sick. That depends on your individual metabolism. That can take 80, 90 different diseases or conditions.
Hey everybody, I'm super excited to introduce you to Dr. Miguel and for you to hear more about him. He's a naturopathic doctor for, I think, 10 plus years. He's been a traditional Chinese medicine doctor for a total of 35 years. His knowledge is amazing. He's constantly thinking. I've seen him work with clients, anything from pain management to anxiety, autoimmune conditions, and it is the oldest medicine that exists, about 7,000 plus years old that we know about. And he's going to give some really cool inputs on how this affects your digestion, how emotions relates to digestion, and what we can do to start turning that around and preventing these pandemics, I'll call it, from arising, which have to do with our digestive system and emotions. So if you like anything that you see here, subscribe and follow us. Thank you. So I'm excited about today's conversation because I want everybody to understand better how, like, being sad, happy, nervous, anxious, and the digestive system, how they relate to each other. What's the relevance between the two, and how it can affect our digestion. Gas, bloating, turns into chronic issues later on, IBS, and it just kind of creates this path of destruction. So in your experience, tell me a little bit about how you see that link and what that link looks like.
Well, thank you for having me again. I always enjoy working with you in Reboot a lot because we're on the same range, so to say, in terms of the best therapies to help people. As a doctor of Oriental medicine, I see this every day because in my school for many, many years, I've been studying natural medicine since the 80s. The connection between the mind and the body is absolute. And we can go into as much detail as you want. So the connection is, many people think that it's esoteric, like as in, Ghostbusters, sack bagans, etc. No, it's real. There's two theories on how does the body, in terms of the emotion, how does the body work? There's two theories. They're both correct.
Okay.
So the first one, think of a tennis racket.
Yeah.
The second one, think of a cell phone. Okay. The tennis racket, some gland secretes a chemical, and some cell in the body has a tennis racket or a fisher's net of a certain shape.
Okay.
And so when the hormone that has a chemical composition goes into the bloodstream, that molecule is caught by the racket or the fish net. And it goes into the cell, and the cell activates whatever function it has to do.
Okay.
That is true, and that does happen. The other theory, which is also true, is that every cell is like a cell phone, or every groups of cells, so every, let's say, soft tissue, the muscles, or the hard tissue, the bones, or the neurological tissue, the nerves, etc., etc. Let's say that they each have a phone number. So when a thought, a single thought, which is another phone number, emits an electronic frequency that goes through the neurological system, the neurons, and immediately dials that group of cells, which is, less than 0.0001 second fast. Like we spoke last time we spoke on the podcast, many endocrine activations take like 6 to 10 seconds. Obviously, the electronic cell phone is almost instant.
Right. So you're saying, let's try to break this down into like the idea of eating, right? So tell me how what you just said relates to when you chew something in your mouth, who's calling who, and how's that?
Okay. So the first thing is, uh, first of all, you have to be hungry.
Okay. All right.
So you can be hungry because your body is telling you, hey, I need food. Or you can be hungry like many people, too many people do. It's like, I need hunger. I need to eat something to calm myself down. Okay. That's different.
Right.
Now, the posture is very important. And what you're doing at that particular moment it's very important. Because both in the traditional medicine, and when I say traditional medicine, obviously I'm a Chinese doctor, but this applies to Western traditional medicine as much as everywhere traditional medicine. So when you sit down to eat, you need to calm down. You need to be in a rest ruminate. You need to be on a parasympathetic mode.
So is the reason why because you have to click into parasympathetic mode?
You have to be clicked into parasympathetic mode before you sit down. That's why in the old days, eating was a ritual. You know,
Give me an example.
in the old days when we had a more elegant society, people would first of all, if you were going to have lunch at 12, you were ready at 11, and then you would go into a room, and there you would be given an appetizer. You see, and then you sat down at the table, and it was all right, and then you were given the first course, the main course, and then dessert. Not the huge amounts we have nowadays, but just enough. Okay, you would sit down, you wouldn't slouch. Okay, why? Your body is made of vessels and it's made of organs. They have to be at a specific posture. You have to be sitting straight, just
Straight up.
straight up. Yeah.
Yeah.
So in the East, in the Orient, sitting cross-legged, straight up, for them is a good thing when you eat. Why? Because your entrails are not pressed. When you slouch, you're pressing them.
Ah, okay. That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. Also, so we need to go and we need to understand that if you're stressed out, if you're in a hurry, if you're eating on the go, the blood is not going to your stomach. The blood is not going to your digestive system.
Okay.
The blood is in your limbs.
Right.
Okay. That's number one. Number two, cortisol, and I would like to go into that. Cortisol is generating a general stricture of your soft tissue.
Okay, but let me slow down a little bit there. Okay, so kind of going back to what's really important in posture and eating, right? So one, we know the body has to prepare to eat.
Yes.
Which is kind of cool because I didn't realize appetizers are smaller.
Yeah.
So it makes sense. Appetizer was something given to kind of prep your body, get you in that mode. So that's cool because that makes sense. And then sitting down is important because we're working on that system. Parasympathetic nervous system, in my understanding, is the system that allows us to rest, recover, digest. And we're not like battling to stay alive at this point.
Correct.
So those are two great tips that I think people should know. Posture and sitting, and then I guess prepping yourself relaxed.
Yes, exactly. And the other thing is the smell.
Ooh.
Okay, so if I cover my nose and I have an apple and a pear, and I cover my nose and I put the piece of fruit in my mouth, I won't be able to know what it is. So smelling is over half of the food.
Okay.
So in the old days, I mean, we all know this. When we get home in the old days, I mean, if mom or grandma or someone was cooking something delicious, just by the smell, you're like, oh, yeah, have that.
Salivate and
Salivating, exactly. That's what happens to animals. When animals, whichever, I mean, that's the animal aspect of
I'm just picturing a dog drooling right now.
further. Exactly. So it's a right.
Okay.
Okay. So you smell the food. Oh, I'm ready. Or oh, I'm not really. I have no appetite, which is the thing. When you smell the food, when you see the food, and you still have no, even if your stomach is empty and you have the emptiness filling in your stomach, and you have no appetite, it means that your parasympathetic system is not active.
Got it. Okay.
Okay, so if you force yourself to consume that food, you're not going to digest it well.
Yeah. Okay. And
Because you're going to have an indigestion. or you're not, or you're just going to ferment the food.
Okay, so then at this point, is there a connection between the phone calls you're saying, like be getting a phone call from one to the other?
Yes. Yeah. So,
So explain that if you
okay. So it's basically stress.
Mm-hmm.
So today we it's a fancy medical term, but basically is the chronic stress generates hyperactivity of the nervous system. Now, think either the racket or the fishnet or the phone call or the cell phone. Okay, doesn't matter. They both work and they are both as active. So whenever there's a stress response, the brain activates corticotropic hormone that goes to the adrenals, the adrenocorticotropic hormones at the kidney level, the adrenals. Okay, and so that generates cortisol, which goes to the liver. The cortisol, everyone knows nowadays, is the stress hormone.
Mm-hmm.
What happens? Immediately, your entire body, which is composed of several types of soft tissue, your brain, your facial muscles, the muscles of your limbs, but also your entrails are soft tissue. They instantly.
Which is what entrails.
The entrails are your intestines, your spleen, your stomach, your kidneys, everything goes
Like all your digestive organs.
all your digestive organs.
Okay.
Your stomach, your esophagus, they lock down. They lock, which means that there's no movement, there's no motility. But also it means that the different secretions, because your glands are also soft tissue.
Mm.
Okay, so everything restricts immediately. So what happens? So now, your stomach is not secreting the proper amount of hydrochloric acid, stomach juice.
Yeah.
Okay. So now the stomach that should be relaxed in order to break down the food is restricted.
Okay.
So you're not going to break down the food. So now the stomach is dry, and the food is not being broken down.
Okay.
Okay. So the two sphincters of the stomach, the hiatus and the pilus, okay, they're not going to work properly. So now you have reflux.
Okay.
Okay. And so that goes into your small intestine. And then in the small intestine, you have what we call the Golgi Strait. You have the duct from the pancreas and from the gallbladder.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the pancreas is tremendously important because the pancreatic enzymes, protease, amylase, and lipase, and bicarbonate, they go into the food that it just came out of the stomach to break down proteins, carbohydrates, and fats.
Right.
So does the bile. The bile emulsifies the fats, but the bile also is a lubricant in your small intestine and in your large intestine. Now, if you're restricted, if you're stressed up, the amount of pancreatic juices and bile is going to be greatly reduced.
Right. Okay.
So now you have food that's not properly broken down, that came through a restricted esophagus on a constricted stomach that is going into a constricted small intestine with reduced amount of breakdown.
Okay.
Okay. So now, what if that is restricted and not properly broken down? The small intestine is not going to break it down properly. The small intestine, separates the different nutrients. I'm not going into detail.
Yes.
It separates the different nutrients and then sends the signals to the heart, to the lungs, and to the lower intestine. If everything is restricted, once you get into the lower intestine, the gut biome is not going to be able to break down was not broken down in the first stages of the procedure or of the process.
So then what happens to that?
You're not going to have a digestion, you're going to have a fermentation.
Right. Okay.
Because the fermentation
So rotting.
rotting, exactly. So what you're getting into your colon is not digested, it's fermented.
What do we feel when you have that fermentation, that rotting?
Bloating.
Okay.
You feel that muzziness in your head.
Okay.
Anxiety, palpitations, shortness of breath. Why? was electrolytes. The electrolytes get absorbed at the colon level, because the colon is the one that does the last stage of the absorption process. So the electrolytes, everyone knows sodium, calcium, potassium, magnesium, blah, blah, blah. So they go into the bloodstream through the intestinal wall, and immediately they go into the adrenal system because they're being filtrated by the kidneys. So in the adrenal system, you have the RAAS system, renin-angiotensin-aldosterone. They go to the thyroid. The thyroid is the one that, with T3 and T4 hormones, they're the ones that tell the heart to palpitate. Heart volume, heart rate, and the speed, volume, and pressure, blood pressure. Okay. But also the heart has the sinoatrial node. The sinoatrial node is the electrical receptor that tells the heart how much blood to send to the lung.
Okay.
So now blood volume going to the lung is affected. That's when you start having shortness of breath.
Okay.
That's an anxiety attack.
Now this I'm assuming this takes time to build up, or is it just every time we eat, the body goes through this
When
deal?
it can be 3 seconds, or it can take a while.
And give me an idea of what's considered stress when you're eating. Like what's not good way, what's not an ideal situation to eat at churn.
On the run, eat while you're driving,
So eating, walking,
walking, eating while you're sitting in your desk.
Okay, so anything that's like action where you have to be focused on stuff, or I mean,
Yeah,
can you
because
sit
you're
there and
there.
have a conversation and eat, or
Well, you can have a conversation, but something that you see on TV, and then that's not a healthy thing. When you're having dinner, when you're consuming food, the worst thing you can do is to bring up all of the trauma that happened during the day.
yeah, okay. I mean, traditionally, the idea is, I'm just thinking back of what you were used to seeing, right? You sit down for a meal, everybody, is kind of going through their day, etc.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's very hard to, in my opinion, these days, to not be stimulated while you're eating. And if you have kids, the kids tell their story, little spat stuff that's going to come up,
Yeah, there's a difference between the ideal and real life.
So knowing that there's, certain things that we can't get away from. So electronics, EMS, ELS frequencies, I know that's a no matter what, we're going to be around it, right?
Yeah.
These days, everybody has a phone on them. So let's just assume a family is going to have kids with a phone.
Yeah,
That's going to be distraction.
The phone. It's best not to have electronics.
Right.
Okay.
So let me just finish this thought real quick.
Yeah.
So we're going to have electronics. Kids are going to be at the table, or family members. We're going to have conversations that maybe are like the bad stuff that happened in the day. So are there things that we can do besides sitting, being relaxed, not saying a word to each other? What can we do to help the digestive system to prevent some of these?
Well, it's also what we eat.
Okay.
Like we said on the first podcast, try to have warm meals, meals that are easy to digest. And
what's an example of the easy to digest meal?
Well, you don't have a 16-ounce New York T-bone with a cold beer. As much as tasty as it is.
Yeah, right.
But you're gonna have a indigestion.
Okay, and whether you feel it or not,
you
still have the indigestion.
Yeah.
When you feel it, that's at the point where it's been there a long time, or
yes.
Okay.
One of my teachers many years ago, he was a member of the World Health Organization. He would tell us that his name was Dr. Keshav, but he was from India. He would tell us that 1 ounce of red meat stays for 4 hours in your stomach before it's broken down. 2 ounces for 8 hours, 3 ounces, 16 hours, so on and so forth, exponential. So you do the math. If you have a 16-ounce New York T-bone with a cold beer, 16-ounce exponential, you're gonna have that in your stomach for a week.
So explain the cold beer. Why is a cold drink an issue?
because coldness constricts the stomach wall.
Why is that? Is it
It's cold.
so then
What happens? What happens when you stick your hand on icy water?
it gets cold?
But the muscles
There's a lack of blood flow there.
lack of blood flow. Exactly.
Ah, okay.
Every constriction implies, because of the constriction, there's a closing down of the blood vessels. If they're closed down, there's no blood flow.
Okay. So having something room temp or warm is okay.
Yes.
Okay.
The same thing happens with excessively hot food. Like boiling
Like temperature heat, not spicy.
exactly temperature. So
Yeah.
so that's why we all like hot coffee or hot tea, but not scalding.
Yeah, right.
That's what it means.
Ah, okay. So either way, the hot, super cold.
Yes.
Got it.
Yes.
I mean, it makes sense because the body, I mean, if we go way back, I guess the body's not designed or wasn't designed to really have super hot or super cold.
Correct. And the trick is this again. So we're going into the vagus nerve. When we talk about acupuncture, we're not talking about, yes, we are in one sense, but from the physiological aspect, it's not hocus pocus imaginary cables.
Right.
We're talking about the actual neurological system of the vagus nerve. It's cranial nerve number 10. And it connects directly into our brain and our spinal medulla. Now, when we do Chinese acupuncture or Japanese acupuncture, we are dealing with the efferent receptors of the enteric nervous system. The enteric nervous system has 500 million neurons. I think it's 3 times as much as the brain. The vagus nerve, which starts in the brain and ends in the pelvic floor, in your pelvis, has a plexus, which means a node, a nerve center in your throat, in your heart, in your lungs, in your liver, in your spleen. Every single organ is connected through the vagus nerve. And the vagus nerve rules the enteric nervous system.
Okay.
So whatever you do in terms of digestion and food immediately activates one of the organs that is immediately activating one of the emotions. But it's a two-way street.
Okay.
So any of the main emotions can go back and affect the main organs through the same vagus nerve and the enteric nervous system.
Got it. Okay. So let me ask you this. Somebody who, what kind of person and what condition they're in needs to really focus on this as much as possible? I know we all should, but at what point is this super important for people to follow these tips that we're getting with the sitting and the eating relaxed and
Well, everyone.
like room temperature? But give me an idea, like somebody with IBS.
Oh, absolutely. Because IBS, last week I was speaking with someone about that. In many cases, IBS is precisely because of stress. Because if you have IBS, that means that there's been a repetitive pattern of coarse feces in your intestine that has not been properly metabolized.
So stress and eating.
Stress and eating, yeah.
And we have to eat every day, multiple times a day, right? So makes sense. Those are the things that we need to think about. Like, what do we do every day that may not be the right way? Because that ultimately, in my experience, is probably what's causing a lot of the issues. And that's something that I like to ask people when I'm sitting down and going through a consult with them. And you do a really intensive talk with every first client, right?
Mm-hmm.
And tell me why. Why is it important for you to talk with the client and find out their lifestyle?
Well, because lifestyle, and when I speak with the client, it gives me a chance to know the person. Nothing is as it seems. And I can go behind the initial presentation. Happens many times. Someone is being, unpolite and being coarse, and most of the time that person is a really nice person, but they're just taking out on us whatever stress or whatever drama or trauma they're bringing from someone else. Or we never know how much has that anger or pain or fear in many cases that person has been carrying the monkey maybe for 1 week, maybe for 1 month.
Yeah. Okay.
So we never know. And that when I sit down with a person, I have a chance to see to identify what's going on. And the tongue and pulse, they never lie.
That's cool. And that's what I love about the technology, the scanning technology. It's just the body doesn't lie.
Yeah.
So we're seeing markers that whether you're able to hide it really well, if you're stressed or not,
Yeah.
we can see it in the body. And then it's just a matter of you and I pulling it out of them.
Yeah. Going back to IBS, 70%, 70% of the immunocytes in our metabolism.
What are immunocytes?
Immunocytes are the immune cells.
Okay. So immune system.
The immune system, 70% is in our colon.
Right. Okay. I've heard that. Definitely.
Yeah. So, and the colon, because of the vascular connections, is directly connected in the Chinese system, to the skin and to the lungs.
Okay.
And in the Chinese system, the lung intestine connection is the metal element. The metal element is defense, is the immune system.
Yes.
It's the armor of defense, that of the defensive qi, the wei qi, they say in Chinese. So you see how everything connects.
Yeah. So what we're doing every day by eating stress, eating too much, eating cold or drinking cold with food is we are having poor digestion, which is affecting the immune system.
Correct.
And that's just cascading.
Correct.
And so I want to bring up a point, because this is something that I believe in, and I think it's going to be a pandemic one day, is I really think that digestion is, from the people that I see, is the root cause of most of why they're seeing us.
Yeah.
And I do think that the pandemic is going to be something that eventually comes out because of our lifestyle now, which is go, go, go.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Eat and go, stimulation constantly.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's inevitable, but we have to figure out what you can do about it, because there are times where you just can't get around it. Maybe it's your lifestyle. You're trying to provide for your family, right? So you're like you're a salesman, you're a truck driver, and you just go, go, go. Nurses that work through the night, they get no time to snack or eat.
36 or 72-hour shifts.
Yes.
That you get in hospital.
So we have to understand, what can we do about it? And there's things you can do to at least help, right? And I want to kind of dive into that. What are some of the things that we can do, knowing that you can't change the lifestyle at the time, because you have to work your 72 hours. You have to drive across the country every week to provide, right? So let's go through some things we could do.
If you cannot change, well, let me retract a bit. So the first thing is that what you just said is spot on. In the West, since the times of Hippocrates, it's let food be your medicine.
Right.
In the hospitals in ancient Egypt, ancient Greece, ancient Rome, the Middle East, the Persians, the Mesopotamians, food therapy was the first item. In ancient India, the Ayurvedic medicine, everything is about the gut health, what we're discussing right now.
Mm-hmm.
In China, when the Chinese developed, when they came from India, the first Chinese medical systems were based on the gut. Everything is food and digestion. 75% of every ailment in the human body is directly related to digestion and what you eat. Therefore, if you're stressed out, if you do not have a proper metabolic assimilation of the food, you're going to become sick. And that depends on your individual metabolism. That can take 80, 90 different diseases or conditions. What can you do? If you're constantly on the go and you have absolutely no way of changing that, well, then you have to change your diet.
Yes, so perfect. So give me an example of It's easy to digest foods,
Yes.
right? So what would you call an easy to digest food?
Purees.
What?
A puree.
What is that?
Well, it's a French word.
not like a-
Puree. So basically, uh, you just do vegetables with some, whichever your favorite root, sweet potatoes, yucca, whatever, with whatever meat you want, and then you boil it all together to taste as spices you want, and then you mash that.
Okay. So breaking the food down, it's almost like pre-digesting it before we put it in our body.
Yes. So it's already broken down, and you, well, because it's already broken down structurally, you drink it. It's like a smoothie, but it's like refried beans,
Yeah, okay.
but softer to taste,
Yeah,
and that's an option.
that's an option. What about things like digestive enzymes?
Yes. Digestive enzymes are very good. Bromelain is very good.
Okay.
Papaya, pineapple, if you like the fruit. Why? Because you already have their own digestive enzymes.
Okay.
Always fiber. You always need to have fiber.
Fiber.
Yeah.
So vegetables, I mean, fruits fiber too, but
Yes.
you do that separately, right? Or
No, well,
you can
it's best to have the fruit and not the juice.
Okay.
If you just have the juice, you're getting a glycemic shot. So that means that your pancreas is going to secrete insulin to metabolize that sugar. But then because there's no glucose, there's no protein on the vegetable cell, you're not secreting glucagon to balance off the insulin. Whereas if you're having the fruit with the fiber, then you have a balance, that's why it's a lot healthier. Plus, you have the fiber and the that basically is a motility facilitator in your intestine. Basically, it's fiber. It helps you go poop.
So now I know that the tongue is a big part of digestion as well. So my understanding is salty, bitter, sweet foods all create a reaction in the body. Is that correct?
Yes.
So then is there one of those that's more beneficial or less for if we're going to have a meal and we know we're going to
Well,
need?
everything has to be in balance.
Okay.
In the Chinese system, when all of the organ systems in the Chinese system, when we say liver, we don't mean the liver organ unless we say so. We mean the liver system. So sour foods relate to the liver system.
Okay.
Sweet foods relate to the spleen system. Salty foods relate to the kidney system. While sour helps secrete bile. So with the secretion of bile, you're emulsifying fats and you're lubricating the lower intestine. Sweet foods, which high glucose or high fructose, sweet foods are ATP, adenosine triphosphate.
Okay.
So that helps you bring energy to your body, but also it helps you to replenish and remanufacture tissue.
Right.
Okay. Salt or salty foods are for the kidney. Why? Because electrolytes.
Yeah.
You see, everything is connected.
So is there truth to, there's something that I do where I drink Swedish bitters. So it's a bunch of fermented roots. I do a swig of it before a meal. And my understanding is the bitterness of it and what's in it gets things secreting. Like,
Yeah, it's because the bitterness goes to the liver, and the liver is a lot of, like I said, it's the bile, and the liver is the facilitator with cortisol, and the liver allows for the absorption process to take place because the liver stores the blood.
okay, so the Swedish bitters or something bitter would be good.
Yes, and also because they are fermented, they facilitate the intestinal, the gut ion to work properly.
Okay. So that's another good thing. So digestive enzymes, the bitters to get things rolling.
Yeah.
Having more like crock pot cooked foods, things that are mashed down more, so it's easier to break it down.
Yes.
If you're driving as a truck driver and you're eating, Everything's more constricted, like you said. So if the food's already broken down for you,
Yes.
it's got a better chance of getting through.
Yes.
Okay. Anything else that on the top of your mind? Here's one I have real quick is I've heard about things like box breathing, using your breathing to put your body into that parasympathetic nervous system.
Because it's connected. I mean, you can go from the same distance from LA to New York as the distance from New York to LA. So when you can use your
Can you explain that?
I mean, the same distance between point A and point B, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you go from here to here or from here to here. It's just still the same distance.
Right.
So you can help your body relax by using the breathing techniques.
Okay.
In as much as you feel your breathing become stress.
Oh, I see.
Okay.
Yeah. So you got to do the right technique if you're going to do your breathing.
Correct.
Yeah. Got it. So don't hyperventilate.
Well, if you're hyperventilating, by definition, that means that you already have the adrenaline, the RAAS system running.
Got it. So here's another thing I'm seeing, which is good, I think, for everybody to know. If you're at the point where you have respiratory issues, right, and breathing issues, I don't know if it could begin where we're saying with digestion, but when you made that connection with the lung, if somebody has a chronic digestive issue, because I see this a lot. I see stomach issue, which is what breaks the food down. I see small intestine issue, where you try to absorb the food. And then you see all the other organs in between that are there to help absorb the food. And then there's a lung that's working really hard. When I see a stomach working really hard, small intestine working really hard, I see the lung working hard as well. So is there a connection you think on those? Or
Yes. So in the Chinese system, the lung is the master of qi.
okay.
Okay.
And chi is
And qi is energy.
okay.
It's just
The lungs master of energy.
the lung is the master of energy. So when your digestive system is not working properly, that means that your body is not, that the ATP is not, and the breakdown of nutrients is not taking place properly. So where are you going to get your energy from?
Yeah. Why is the lung doing it then?
Because you had to keep it as, your metabolism has to be in balance.
Okay.
So if you're not doing it through the food metabolism, then the lung has to do the work
Got it. Okay.
by absorbing the non-chemical qi that is in the atmosphere. Most people think that oxygen is everything. No, 80% of what we breathe, we don't know what it does. The only thing we know what it does is oxygen.
Right. That's a good point. Yeah.
So 80% of what we breathe through our lungs, we don't know what it is. I mean, we know what the gases are, but we don't necessarily know what they do.
What it does.
Exactly.
Right. So is it possible that allergies are related to the digestive system specifically?
Yeah.
Like everybody thinks it's, well, here's a good question. So pollen, it's big in Florida, right?
Yeah.
Can pollen create the allergy, or is it the digestive system already there and the pollen's just amplifying it, or how's that work?
That's a very interesting question, and it depends on who you ask and the school.
Okay.
Because mind body medicine schools say that that's a subconscious emotional reaction that's reacting to the pollen.
Yeah.
Why do you suddenly have an allergy against something that you never had an allergy to?
Yeah, that I understand. And you
So-
shall be allergic to something and then not eventually.
And vice versa.
Yeah.
So it's a tricky. I mean, we could just dedicate an entire podcast on cooking.
Let's not do that now then.
No.
So how about kind of backtrack to the allergies in general? When somebody has a food allergy, is it because the food's hurting them? It's a bad food?
It could be.
Okay.
Depends on the individual person, and that would take us into the blood type diet.
Okay.
Peter D'Adamo, senior and junior. Junior was like myself, a doctor of oriental medicine from Bastille College in San Diego. So they spent many decades researching, and it's all about the lectins. Lectin is when an amino acid connects to a sugar molecule.
Okay.
So a protein or a sugar.
And lectins are in all foods?
All foods.
Okay.
So each of the 4 blood types is a chemical compound, but foods are also chemical compounds. How does that work? Well, it's very simple. You don't mix oil and water. They're both fluids, but you don't mix them.
Right.
You don't mix vinegar with milk because it cuts the nut.
Right. Okay.
You see, so the same thing happens in our metabolism. It's a micro allergic reaction if we constantly consume foods that are not the best for our blood type.
Okay. So that's a factor in all this.
It's a factor in all.
Blood type.
Yeah, that's one factor. And then you have because, I mean, this is a very general, because billions of people have the same blood type. But then you go into age, gender, geographical location,
Got it.
habitual patterns,
So all these environmental.
all of those environmental factors. Yes.
And you can get these blood tests done to find out what you are pretty cheap, right? I think you can get them on Amazon. Eat Right for your blood type testing kits.
I think so, yeah. I'm not sure. I have to check, but I think
Yeah. Yeah. I think they're less than $10. And I think it's a great thing for people to know just as a guideline. But do you think it's something they should follow? There's a whole book on it. Should they follow it to a T?
in my experience, I've recommended that to many patients, and it has been very useful.
Okay.
I know people that went from being bloated and overweight to regaining their healthy weight and not being bloated. Children that, in many cases, got rid of half of their allergic conditions and the typical childhood anxiety, stress.
So if you start eating for your blood type, does that fix the dysfunction with the stomach and everything else that could be? And well,
Yes, and yeah, and then we also have to check how your metabolism is behaving in terms of the assimilation of fats, assimilation of sugar. It's like everything is like having prescription glasses. I mean, I can use a magnifying lens to look at a small print on a book, but I can also get myself prescription glasses to be able to read whatever I need to read.
okay. I want to give a kind of a cool case study that I noticed, and then if you can explain to me why this worked. I think we kind of got it from the conversation now, but I have a mom. She has, I think it's 3 boys. They're all young and very fit, looks great. I have no clue that there's any issue there, right? But she's got a chronic issue in the stomach that she's noticing where she's constantly bloated, can't lose the extra weight she wants, feels very uncomfortable after meals, and hasn't got an answer from anybody on why. Like, why does this happen? And so we went through a couple months of different things. We worked on the stomach, we worked on the digestive system. We did a lot with her. Things improved, but still had initial issues that just aren't going away. And I started digging in more and asking more questions, like, tell me what you do every night around eating. Like, where's the stress coming from? And we found out that, she makes dinner. The kids sit at the table. She's at the table. Her husband's there. The kids are young boys. So they're going, full testosterone. They're just cranking away up instead of just sitting and eating quietly. So she's there correcting him and trying to keep him settled while eating dinner with them.
She's not digesting anything.
Yeah, exactly. Right. And so, if you didn't realize that, you would probably never change it. So then we figured this out together and she went, wow, that's crazy. Okay. So she decided that she's going to make dinner, sit down with everybody, basically quality control because it's like a survival situation. And she started to eat dinner after. Everyone's settled. The kids are, doing their thing. Everyone's cool. She would sit down and eat her meal. And literally within 30 days on our next scanning we did, she says, I've never felt this good in the digestive system.
Yeah.
All the tools that we used didn't make a big difference, as much of a difference as her actually eating after dinner in a quiet setting. So it really speaks to everything we're talking about.
Yeah, again, because It's the vagus nerve.
Okay.
It's the vagus nerve. Without repeating myself, it's the enteric nervous system connection goes straight into the brain. It doesn't matter. It's like getting into a merry-go-round. It doesn't matter which hose you sit on the merry-go-round. You're still going on the merry-go-round.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I always would go on the horse that was going kneeing up like
Exactly.
up the wire. I just chose that horse.
Well, it's the former. I never liked them much because I would get sick.
Yeah, the whole circle thing. No, thank you.
But the point is that it really doesn't matter. I mean, if you have a pink or a red or a yellow or a green hose, you're still on the merry-go-round.
Right. So it's a good thing for everybody, I think. Like if we kind of retract on some of the most important things is sit while you eat. Don't have cold beverages while you eat.
Mhm.
Make sure you're in a calm state, while you eat, which is not our tradition right now.
No,
Our tradition's to have like a cool environment going while we're eating,
Right.
One
of the things in Italian, there's an expression that says "dolce non far niente," which means it's sweet not to do anything. You know why? Because it's sweet to sit down and just enjoy life and just enjoy a meal. Okay, because when you're constantly running, an old Jewish friend of mine used to say, when you live on the forest, you don't see the trees. Okay, so sometimes it's just good to lay back, bring it down, and see the forests in the trees, or see the trees in the forest.
Yeah, okay. Would you say that if as long as you're talking about positive things and fun things and laughing, that's okay while you're eating?
Yes.
Or is it still like a nervous stimulation?
Well, then we go into philosophical problems.
Let's not do
No, it's very simple. Okay, because as don't think of a pink elephant.
that. Okay.
You immediately thought of a pink elephant.
Right. Yeah. I visualize it and everything.
Exactly. So you cannot not think of something you don't want to think of, because first you have to create it, then you have to try to solve it.
Got it.
So, okay, children, we're going to sit down to have a quiet dinner. I don't want anyone to go into a ruckus. What's the first thing that's going to happen? Chaos.
Yeah.
So,
Got it. How long have you been doing this, Dr. Miguel? Eastern medicine.
I started studying in the mid 80s, but I was in law. I was in international law. I became a Chinese doctor so I could prick people less painfully. So I've been doing this for almost 20 years.
20 years. So on this topic of we're talking about now with the digestive system and your stress and nerves,
And the emotions.
emotions and digestive system, what would be the most important thing you want to relay to people that you want them to know about?
Emotions and everything. And it's best just not to eat if you're stressed out at that particular moment.
Okay.
I know it doesn't make sense, but if you're stressed out, everyone knows what that means. I don't need to explain it. Just have something to drink, but don't necessarily eat something.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it doesn't make sense because I think everybody's experienced that gut-wrenching feeling, like something traumatic happens or just you get in a fight and you get that stomach feeling.
Exactly. That's
Everybody knows what that is. So that's a perfect example of like the contraction you're talking about. Right.
Yeah.
Gut
But
wrench.
remember, there's also micro contractions.
What's that, for example?
And micro contraction is something you don't realize.
Is it a thought that's creating it or what?
It's a thought or it's a reaction. Like most everyone I have in clinic has the trapezoid stress. Why? Because just
Holding it in here?
holding it's like
Yeah. I know what you mean for sure. So just have.
and that's no one Joe knows it, but that's just normal tension.
Yeah, okay.
That's a micro reaction.
So emotions have a huge part of digestion.
Yeah, because remember that the entire enteric nervous system connects with all of the organs. Like the heart is sadness, but that sadness brings anxiety. Uh, the the colon connects to the lung, but the lung is grief. It's letting go. And that brings shortness of breath or shallow breathing. The spleen is worry, but that worry also brings rumination and pensiveness and indigestion, because now you're going like, oh, I can't, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? So, uh, the kidney is fear, but it's also shock.
Okay.
So and everything is connected through the enteric nervous system.
And do you feel like all of it can be fixed if you start to work on digestion wise?
Yes, but you can start through digestion, but you also have to, as much as possible, try to address the situation and the emotions.
The emotion side.
Yes.
Yeah.
Everything is mind. Everything is mind.
Yeah.
Work with, stabilize your mind. Work with your mind. Try to cope, and try to develop, coping mechanisms.
Do you have a couple of things like tools you could give us right now that would be for coping with the emotions?
Yeah, dissociation.
Like break that down a bit.
Like, for example, you're driving and you have a turtle driving in front of you,
A slow person?
a slowpoke.
Yeah, yeah.
Like Josh Carlin used to joke, there's only two kinds of drivers. There's maniacs and there's slowpokes.
Okay.
The maniac is whomever's going faster than you, and the slowpoke is whomever's going slower than you.
Right, okay.
Okay, so that's Josh Carlin. But anyway, so are you really in such a hurry? So who's getting annoyed with the slowpoke?
So take a deep breath and
Take a deep breath. Dissociate.
Yeah, okay.
Dissociate. Why are you getting stressed? Are you in a hurry? Okay, so you're in a hurry. Try to go on the side. If not, honestly, if you're just driving 15 miles, the difference is 4 minutes or 3 minutes.
Yeah.
The problem that we have nowadays is that, and if I may say, as soon as Jay gives us the cube. So the problem that we have nowadays is that when you have a fever, and there's a proverb in Spanish. It says, "La fiebre no está en la sábana." The fever is not in the blanket.
Okay.
And you can't change the blanket, but you're still gonna have a fever.
Yeah, right.
Okay, so you need to work on yourself first.
Okay.
Okay, and we have a society that's screwed up, and everyone in the world knows it. So my last point is basically this: we can change our clothes, we can change our shoes, we can change the exterior, but we're still us. You can look a different way depending on how you dress, but you're still you. Okay, so like I was just saying, in Spanish, there's a proverb, "La fiebre no está en la sábana," which means that the fever is not in the blanket. You can change your blanket, but you still have a fever. Now, why do you have a fever?
Right.
It's not the blanket's fault. So whatever we have in our biological metabolism starts at a higher level. So we need to work on our mind.
Yes.
We need to work on our spirit. That is a problem that we have in America for the last 60 years. If you want to work on that, that you have a problem. No, that is the problem.
Right.
Not working on how to keep a settled mind, how to be a stable person emotionally. Life is not perfect. There's always going to be issues. But a stable person is able to cope with those issues.
Right.
So we need to discover how do we cope, how to be a healthier person, to cope mentally. And once you learn to cope mentally and spiritually, then immediately your body begins to fall in place.
Yeah, that's perfect. No, I love it. So
Again, because the vagus nerve.
right. Okay.
Your mind, your spirit uses your brain. Your brain sends impulses through the vagus nerve into all of the organs. the organs and generate hormones and enzymes. That is your emotions. That is your personality. Your personality is the lump sum of emotions, hormones, and enzymes. Okay? And that creates the cycle.
Yeah.
So if a stable spirit, stable mind, stable body.
Thank you for watching today's episode. Subscribe. Videos go out every Thursday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Stay tuned for more.